CEO Mark Zuckerberg will once again face grieving families Wednesday when he testifies in a landmark social media addiction trial in Los Angeles. The case marking the first time he will testify about youth safety claims before a jury. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, joining us, and you know all eyes will be on this, Jeff. We know Meta is just one of several companies that's named in this lawsuit. Break down all of the details tonight.
So a now 20-year-old woman and her mother filed this specific lawsuit claiming Instagram and YouTube intentionally designed features to addict young users, allegedly leading to engineered addiction while also harming her mental health. Now, the lawsuit serving as just the first of over 1,500 to potentially go to trial. In a landmark trial already underway in Los Angeles, a now 20-year-old identified as Kaylee and her mother alleged that Meta and YouTube designed addictive algorithms that damaged her mental health when she began using them as a young child, leading to depression and also self-harm.
These features are ones that are specifically designed to get into a preteen or a teen brain and give dopamine hits in such a way that they become as addictive as cigarettes, as opiates, as any addiction may be.
In response to the lawsuit, a Meta spokesperson strongly disagreeing with the allegations, saying they're, quote, confident the evidence will show our long-standing commitment to supporting young people. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is among those scheduled to take the stand on Wednesday, just over 2 years after apologizing to grieving parents who claim social media contributed to their children's deaths during a fiery Senate hearing on Capitol Hill.
There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invest so much and are going to continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
Wednesday marks the first time Zuckerberg must testify about youth safety claims before a jury who, if they side with Kaylee, could set a precedent for holding social media companies accountable for harmful or dangerous design decisions. But Lanier is also calling for changes to its platforms.
They ought to do better age gating. They need to do better at channeling out those children that are too young to use the app effectively and put the fence around it that they know how to do. They're just choosing not to do.
Now, Zuckerberg's testimony on Wednesday will follow that of Instagram CEO, who said just last week he doesn't believe social media can be clinically addictive, while also acknowledging the use of Instagram can become problematic. TikTok and Snapchat have already settled with the plaintiff. Reporting for the National News Desk, I'm Jeff Harris.
Mark Zuckerberg has faced congressional panels many times to answer these kinds of questions about social media and youth safety, but this is the first time he's done it before a jury in a landmark case that could drastically change tech companies' accountability.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg on Wednesday arriving at the Los Angeles Superior Courthouse to testify in a landmark trial about tech addiction.
Mark, do you have a message to the parents?
Among those awaiting Zuckerberg's arrival, parents calling for accountability for Meta following years of concerns about the impact of Meta-owned Facebook and Instagram on youth mental health and safety.
They take a vulnerable child. Well, all kids are vulnerable. Their self-esteem and what girls face, especially on these platforms, is horrifying to have to go through that. And it really has created such a huge mental health crisis in this country.
In the Los Angeles trial, Meta and YouTube are accused of intentionally designing addictive features that hooked a now 20-year-old woman, named in court documents only as Kaylee, as a child, harming her mental health. TikTok and Snapchat were also named in the lawsuit. They settled before trial. Former Facebook employee turned whistleblower Frances Haugen says Zuckerberg's testimony about what Meta has known about the risks of its platforms on young people puts a lot on the line for his company.
If they take responsibility, then they're going to have to change their business model and how they do business.
Meta argues it was Kaylee's difficult family life, not social media, that led to her struggles. YouTube has also denied the lawsuit's claims.
Meta has also consistently pointed to safety features for users under the age of 18, including teen accounts, which implement stronger privacy settings and content restrictions. In Washington, I'm Karen Kefa.
Well, I'm not sure I'll get that opportunity, but if we do, I'll think quickly on the spot. We are here. It's so important for us to be here because really what this trial is about for parents is we want the truth. We want the truth, we want transparency, and we want these companies to be held accountable. You know, for years they've been telling us how their platforms are safe and they're doing everything in their power, you know, to make them safe for our children. And as we've seen now, internal documents that's being released with this trial, that they actually knew that their platforms had risks to children, risks to their mental health, that they were addictive, and they were in fact designing them to be addictive so they could get, you know, increase their profits by having more and more children at younger ages on their platform to increase their lifespan of being on their platforms and using their products. So that's why we're here today. They need to see, Mark Zuckerberg needs to see. Again, we already faced him once in January 2024 in Congress at a hearing where he was forced to apologize to us. And now we really want to hear the truth, because that day we did not hear the truth. I absolutely agree with Francis, having seen it firsthand in my own case. I'm not saying that, you know, that Instagram may have caused my daughter struggling with anxiety and depression, but I'm telling you this, she was a vulnerable kid with ADHD and had some anxiety and depression. And this product that she got addicted to put her in a downward spiral, and I'm sitting here with parents who have the same experiences. It's the same pattern. They take a vulnerable child. Well, all kids are vulnerable. Their self-esteem, and what girls face, especially on these platforms, is horrifying to have to go through that, and it really has created such a huge mental health crisis in this country. And so if it doesn't create it directly, it totally exacerbates it and makes it so much worse, and it's leaving it to parents, and we can't fight these multi-billion-dollar companies with the way that they're designing their platforms to be addictive to our children. We have to see more reforms. I mean, these are after the fact reforms, after the harms have already been done. Where have they been for the past 10 years? AI is not a new thing. They've been using it for years in their algorithms to push, you know, content to our children and make the decisions of what they see and what they don't see. So they could have done this a lot earlier, and I feel like it's a Band-Aid. I mean, take the analogy of, like, you know, in the 70s, like you give someone a Pinto, okay, and then they say they have a harm, and then all of a sudden you give them a fire extinguisher and try to blow it out. Good luck. That's what it feels like as a parent. And the onus should not be on us. It should be on them to design a product that is safe for our children, and that is what we need, why we need legislation to force them to do this, because obviously they're not going to do it themselves, because for them it's all profit. They don't care at all about our children's well-being. I would say, okay, finally we're starting to learn the truth. I mean, when my daughter went on social media, you know, and the parents I'm with, we didn't know anything. Now we finally know, and finally have evidence. We've been talking about this anecdotally for years now and telling our stories on to legislators, trying to get legislation passed like the Kids Online Safety Act. And we were successful in the Senate 91-3, and then it got blocked in the House. And that was our big hit for us. So this is going to provide the evidence that legislators need to pass stricter legislation, comprehensive legislation like the Kids Online Safety Act, and not just piecemeal Band-Aids here and there, putting in the responsibility back on the parent. That's not what it should be. These companies, accountability is a part of doing business in the United States, and they need to be held accountable like other companies are held accountable when they put out faulty products.
Somebody who will be in the courtroom is our next guest, Matthew Bergman, founding attorney of the Social Media Victims Law Center. He is representing the plaintiff in this case and is part of the legal team in court every day. Thanks for joining us live. Matthew Bergman, welcome to The Story Is.
Thank you for having me.
Mark Zuckerberg on the stand is a big moment, not only for this case, but sort of for the history of social media. What's the strategy?
Well, the strategy is simply to confront him with his own documents and his own words, not the words that he pontificated to Congress or to the media, but the own documents and the things that Meta has said internally regarding what they know their platforms are doing to young people.
Like what?
Like knowing that it's addictive. They have intentionally designed a product to addict young people, showing them not what they want to see, but what they can't look away from. And their own documents show that, showing that 1/3 of kids who use Instagram feel worse about themselves for doing that. Time and time again, the documents show that Meta and its personnel were provided with an opportunity to take a choice between protecting kids or protecting its profits. And each time they protected their profits.
Tell us about your client, the plaintiff in this case. Tell us her story.
Her name is KGM, and she's 20 years old. She got on social media when she was 6 years old. That was originally YouTube. And through the dangerous algorithms and through the addictive design, became highly addicted to social media, developed body dysmorphia, depression, anxiety, and to this day continues to suffer from mental health harms as a result of the deliberate design decisions that these companies have made.
You know, the social media companies have sort of suggested it's kind of her fault, her parents' fault. They bear some personal responsibility in using this. What do you say to that?
Well, you know, it's like the barking dog. It's not my dog. If it is my dog, he didn't bite you. If he did bite you, he didn't bite your heart. Look, we're all for parental responsibility. The fact is that these platforms are designed to evade parental responsibility. They're designed to, first of all, be addictive to kids, but also make it easy for kids to evade parental responsibility. Most parents are doing their level best to try to control and monitor what their kids are doing online. These platforms are designed to make it impossible. Parents are paddling upstream and blaming parents for failure to control their kids' social media is kind of like, you know, blaming a heroin addict for being addicted by a drug pusher, blaming the addict.
Take us inside the courtroom. What's it like in there every day? Obviously, we get sketches, but we're not actually inside there. What's it feel like in that courtroom?
It feels very solemn. It feels very dignified. We fought for 4 years simply to have the right to present our case to a fair and impartial jury. For 20 years, social media had been able to keep these cases from even going forward. And when we filed our first case 4 years ago, everyone thought it wouldn't go anywhere. And now we have a situation where the richest, most powerful man in the world is going to stand face to face with a 20-year-old young woman and stand equal before the law.
And there will also be a bunch of other, you know, young people that have been impacted in the courtroom as well, which is going to be quite a moment. So say you all win this case. What does that mean going forward? Could the social media companies potentially go bankrupt with all the cases that are out there?
No, I don't think that's a problem. These are the most wealthy companies in the world. But what we do intend to do is utilize the one tool that seems available to change their behavior, to make safer products. Look, if they were going to be appealed to by moral persuasion, that would have happened years ago. That doesn't work. If bad publicity would have made a difference, when Mr. Zuckerberg turned around and was forced to kind of apologize to parents, that would have made a difference. It didn't.
Yeah.
What makes a difference is when it is more expensive for them to design dangerous platforms than safe ones. That's what will change their platform. That's what will change their behavior. And that's what we're trying to do.
And so what does that actually look like for you and me and everybody watching that goes on social media every day? How will social media potentially change?
Well, it will change, hopefully, by turning off the algorithms and showing kids what they want to see, not what they can't look away from. By limiting the amount of time that kids spend on social media to a couple hours a day. There's no earthly reason why a kid should spend 7-8 hours a day on social media. In and of itself, that is harmful. And it is addictive by design. It is not a coincidence. They use operant conditioning, they use psychological manipulation, they use AI algorithms and to addict our kids to their platforms, only because they want to show them more ads. You know, when you're on social media, you're not the customer, you're the product. They are showing your eyes and your availability. And what they have learned through their algorithmic reasoning is that what keeps kids online is not material that's uplifting or beneficial. It's in material that's disturbing, that's psychologically disruptive. So a young girl who's looking for diet and exercise is in short order sent down a rabbit hole promoting unhealthy eating and anorexia and hating the way she looks. That's not an accident or coincidence. That's what it's designed to do, because that's how they can sell the most ads. So what we're hoping to do through this lawsuit is change their economic priorities. Hit them in the pocketbook. That's the only thing that they'll listen to.